Jansen's Instagram, probably every day, I'm seeing property sold. And I'm like, and these are nice properties. This ain't just, trailer parks. My man's selling.
Real estate is hard to break into. 80% of realtors don't last longer than 4 months.
Hold up. 4 months?
4 months. 49% of realtors last year sold one home on average. I make this joke. You know more realtors than coffee baristas. Real estate, you're 60 days out from not having anything. I don't know how realtors without a faith do it. Create margin for God to do something miraculous. Oof. I love the idea of me working 40 hours a week and competing with guys working 80. Me going to battle with 300 against however many thousand. And God being like, no, that's my boy.
That's
enough.
You
know what I mean?
Yep.
That's my son. And when you're just obedient, God makes you look so good.
Tell me the do's and don'ts.
Sure.
Like practical, flat out that you see of like, man, what leads to 49% only selling one home is this. Welcome to the Faith Hustle Podcast, where we help young Christian entrepreneurs learn how to build their business and careers God's way. My name is Makwenda. I'm your host. I've been an entrepreneur for almost 10 years, and in that time, I've been mentored and guided by some of the most successful entrepreneurs that I know, but they were not just successful on paper or in their finances, but holistically in their faith walk, in their relationships, everything around them, it reflected Christ. And that's what we are striving for here at Faith Hustle, is holistic view of success. We talk on 5 pillars here at Faith Hustle. We talk on being spirit-led, on having a heart of stewardship, humility, integrity, generosity. Those 5 things we believe makes up someone that has a faith hustle, someone that's not just doing things for themselves, but they're doing it unto the glory of God. And if that's you, if you feel that stirring in your heart of like, I want to do business that way, then I encourage you to hop on this journey with us. Subscribe wherever you're listening to, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Apple, heck, we even on Amazon and Google. If you do listen to that, we are there. But subscribe and engage with us. We have a lot of different fun stuff coming up over the coming months that you want to tune in on. You can sign up for our newsletter. Also, if you've been listening to the content for a minute, leave us a review. It would help us tremendously to get this out to more people, so more people get impacted. So we appreciate your support. So appreciate you listening and tapping in with us on this journey of growing together. And today, I have a really good buddy, a really good friend. Met him recently. We met at church, and he's just like one of those pillars, like those anchor people. And as soon as we met, I'm like, I thought we knew each other for much longer than we did. But man, he's such a rock, such a solid man. I'll talk him up a little bit too of some other stuff that has really stood out to me, but he's incredible, and you're going to want to listen to him. Jansen is in the building.
What's up, man?
Come on,
I'm
man.
so excited to be here.
Come on. How about that intro?
I love it, man. It's a Christian podcast, so I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I just watched Deadpool and Wolverine. And you said anchor, and I was like, oh, dude, I'm an anchor being. This is cool. I'm not an anchor being. I'm joking. Bro.
I need to watch it. I need to watch all of them. I just missed them. I missed that series.
They're crazy.
I heard. It's a little wild. It's a little wild.
Yeah.
I referenced in the first episode Wolf of Wall Street to teach one point, but I made a disclaimer. We do not promote.
No, we don't promote that. Yeah. And you can't have an entrepreneurship podcast without somebody watching it, having watched Wolf of Wall Street.
Jordan Belfort. Yeah. No, 100%.
What's up, man? I'm honored to be here, man.
Dude, I'm
Season 2,
here.
right?
Season 2.
I love it.
You're
love
the third
the
person that
space.
sat down in this chair.
I feel honored, man.
Yeah, man.
Congrats. The space is awesome.
Thank you,
What
man.
you're building is awesome. I love the heart behind it. I love watching everything that you're doing, man.
I appreciate that, man. Wait, we're only in the beginning. Dude, so obviously we'll get into what you do. You're a realtor. How long have you been in real estate?
I'm in my 7th year.
7? Hey,
Yeah,
that's
man.
prophetic. Come on now. Perfection. And he's in the room. I saw your stuff online. I'm like, man, this guy, and not just in real estate, but in your life, I'm like, this guy carries a spirit of excellence. And it's kind of the theme that I want to kind of jump right into. Of course, we'll get to your story and whatnot. And again, we met at church. But man, like when we met together in lunch and just seeing you and what you do, I'm like, man, excellence rests on him. And I can say that because that is not everyone. And how I would describe excellence, I've heard it been said of like, doing the best with what you have. I think that's like a very lazy explanation. I don't think it's bad, but I do think you can tell a difference of someone that they do their work unto the Lord so much that even the world pays attention, or people, here's the standard, and you can tell. I often tell, the story often of, the Hebrew boys of Daniel and how they were so separate that it could be seen from the other servants, from the other slaves, of how they operated. They ate different. And their performance literally was different. Yeah. Like it was not even a close call. You could tell one person did this one way, another person did a thing another way, and they had to glorify God. They had to point it to something because it was so different. And I feel like a lot of times, like in business, we'll just slap a Jesus sticker on it. I'm a Christian in business, but man, you don't act like it, and it's actually not hurting the kingdom of how bad your service is. I'm not going to tell you the time of I went to an establishment that will remain nameless, but they call themselves Christians, and they're they're a auto mechanic service. And I had the worst service there.
Sometimes, man, I find with that, when you try and label it as that, you sometimes mix into your business model. Oh, grace exists, so you have to extend it to me, even if I do a bad job, or even if I'm not doing it with excellence. And I don't want to be that. I've been that, though. I mean, we're all doing that in some way, shape, or form. But I'd rather it be seen by my actions, not because it's part of the branding.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Of just saying it, of like. And I do, and that's what I've seen about you. So again, we're kind of jumping right into the gun, and we'll get into your story, how you got into it. But like, I see that in you. What do you think? What's in your core that has developed that? Like, or what has developed that? Have you been wanting to start a Christian podcast but just didn't know how? What if I could tell you that it is possible to learn the skills and the principles to build a podcast show to impact people for the kingdom of God, and you could do it in 30 days. Believe it or not, Faith Hustle was actually launched in a 30-day window from start to finish, and I believe you can do the same. I put together a training for you, what I call the Podcast Bootcamp. The Podcast Bootcamp dives deep for a one-night session of all things podcasting. We're going to talk about what's the foundation of a great show. What are the things you need to do in order to launch in 30 days? What are some of the essentials to help you get your show off the ground? No more just talking about it. No more putting it on a dream list or wish list. Let's get your podcast launched this year. 30 days can be the difference from an idea to a completion of your own podcast. Register today for the Podcast Bootcamp, and I'll see you there. Now back to today's episode.
I don't know. I'm trying to think where it started. I remember at my wedding, my brother, who I admire so much and look up to so much, he was like, my big brother was just, I listened to the music he listened to, watched the movies he watched. And I remember him saying at our wedding, he goes, everything Jansen does, he's always wanted to be the best at it. And I had never heard him say that to me. And so hearing that literally on my wedding, he's giving a toast, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that just spoke to my heart. I've always wanted to do things well. And if I knew I couldn't do them well, I wouldn't do them. So,
yes,
which is not always great, because there's some things I should do even though I won't do them well. But, man, it's always kind of been in there. I've always liked nice things. I've always liked, finer things. If I'm going to, go to a restaurant, I want to go to the nice restaurant. Even if I'm like going to a hole in the wall, I want it to be the nicest hole in the wall. The most authentic version of that. And I think that's just bled into my entire path. And I don't know where it started, man. I think it's just part of my DNA. I think it's just how God wired me, how He created me.
Wow. And the reason why I asked that is because I would say, you know, there's some people they're naturally competitive, right?
Yeah.
But just because you're competitive,
It's part of me too.
Yeah. It helps. But just because you're competitive doesn't mean that equally is equal to excellence either.
Sure.
And especially, I'll say this for myself, in the Christian circle, church circle I came from, I think I dealt a lot with, or I kind of picked up some false humility there.
Yep,
where it was like, hey, no, it's not about me. I don't want to do like, you know, I don't want to be over the top. I don't want to be this or that. But then when you really sit and think about it, that doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
And it's not, that's not humility to not give it your best. I think it's just, one, it's proper stewardship.
Yeah.
But two, it's like, if God gave, if this is for him, why would it be anything less than my best?
Man. I mean, it's so difficult to navigate false humility in business. And it's something I totally battle. I literally had a conversation today with a friend who's an agent out in Fort Worth about it. He was saying, my Instagram feed seemed different. It seemed, you know, on point.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I'm trying to not be shy about what I'm doing and what God's put into my hands, you know, because it can be really easy to minimize it or not want to seem self-serving or self-promoting, especially in a business like mine where you're the business.
You have to. You are the brand.
You're the brand. And that's so hard to do as a believer. And I've wrestled with it for the entire 7 years. It's still not figured out. And I've been... feel like I've got it kind of tapped in. My heart's pure, my head's in the right direction, or I'm in the deepest ditch and it's only self-gratification and I'm doing a terrible job with it. God's been so gracious, and it's been a big part of my journey, and we can talk about it, but been a huge part of my journey of learning. And there was a point a couple years ago where I just go, God, I honestly don't want to be a part of this business. I think I'm done. I think I want to lay it down and go do something else. Would you open another door? And I just, in my soul, I was still called to real estate. He was still asking me to be in real estate. And I go, okay. And I looked at my wife and I go, I'm going to start doing it different. And we might not make the same amount of money. We might not have the same lifestyle. We might not, you know, it might change things drastically. But in my heart, I was like, if God's wanting me to do it, he'll make a way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it ties into how I'm a dad and a husband and all of that, man. So it's been a unique journey, and it's a wrestle. It's not easy to be a faith-based entrepreneur sometimes. No. It's not. It can be difficult because you are, what culture deems excellent is not biblical excellence.
Yes.
They're two very different things.
Yes, it is.
And it's hard to figure that out.
And I'd say on the flip side of that too, what the church says, how you should, you know, what is deemed acceptable.
Yeah.
Like, because I think a lot of times I found in myself of like, you don't want to gloat, you don't want to, because part of it is just perception.
Yeah.
Of like, I want to appear humble, I want to appear Christ-like. Yeah. But that does not necessarily equate to like you not shouting from the rooftop what you do.
Right.
Sometimes the only time someone's going to even see it.
Right.
Because like, so give some context. Jansen's Instagram, probably every day I'm seeing property sold. And I'm like, and these are nice properties. This ain't just, you know, trailer parks. My man's selling.
We sell everything.
They sell everything. They sell everything. If you got a boat,
point, any location, we sell it all.
If you have a bike, you'll probably sell it. No, but like he's out here and he's, you know, displaying it like, hey, here's a win. Here's a win. I always used to tell people, like, they would ask me, like, how do I promote what I'm doing? It's like, you have to share everything you're doing.
Yeah.
Because funny enough, the people who get busy are the people who are actually busy.
Yes.
Not the ones that are showcasing, I'm available. Yeah. I'm not doing nothing. Hey, anybody want? No. I always got more work when I was more busy.
Activity breeds activity. And I stole that. I ripped that off from another agent. But
Rip it.
But it's real. It's you have to be I show up to the office, and I've been doing it for 7 years. I show up to the office. I can't work from home. I'll be playing Fortnite. It's real, man.
Yeah.
I have to show up to the office because it gets me in the headspace.
Yes.
Gets me in the mindset. I'm here to do a job, and I go home, and my home is rest. You
Yes.
know? That's a whole nother part of excellence too.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, man, we got so much.
Oh yeah, we have so much. But I want to stay in this vein.
Yeah.
Because one of my mentors, he told me right from the jump, he could tell in me, because we have a very similar, we started in ministry. We started, that was, you went to CFNI.
Yeah.
And,
I went there for a semester.
Yeah. Come on.
I got
man.
saved and I left. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. Just kidding.
You're like, I'm done. Shout
out CFNI.
Yeah. I didn't go to CFNI. I went to a missions organization up in Michigan. But what at least for myself, he looked at me, he was like, man, you know what? The only thing that is stopping you is your Christian nice guy syndrome. He said, you won't sell. You won't put yourself out there. You won't. He's like, because he dealt with it too. He was asking God, like, God, how do I build my business? How do I grow? And he was waiting for this big answer. He's like, write this down. And he got his pen right down. Charge more. Just like, and he had to, in his brain, separate, my witness is not equal to how much I charge.
Yeah.
It is not. It is equal to the amount of service I give, how well it is, my honesty, right? All those different things. It has nothing to do with price.
Right.
It has unless you are cheating someone out of it, but it has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And I realized that, like, even in sales, because you learn sales tactics and stuff, especially in your industry. And I would just be like, they always say the last person that stops talking loses. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Or the first one to talk loses.
The first one to talk loses. So I would be like, I would give the number. I'm like, I know it's expensive. I know it's a lot.
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer. And I'm like, and I had a business partner. Thank God for him. He said, bro, say the number and shut up.
Yeah. I literally was in a listing appointment today, and we were talking about commissions, and I just am like, here's my rate, and he immediately started talking and agreed to it, even though he started the conversation by trying to discount it. And I was like, here's my rate, and he goes, okay. Yeah. Like, it just happens. It's tough with false humility and not knowing what's being a dog. Like, what's being, like, having some fight and some grit in me and doing the job and tasks that God asked me to do, and what is me being self-serving. And I think it all comes down to motive. Like, it's what's on the throne of your heart. Like, not to be too it's a Christian podcast, too church talk, but like, but like, what's on the throne of your heart? Like, if the motive is self-gratification or self-amplification, that's gonna come out, and ultimately that ends in harm. Yeah. But if you're going, man, God called me to this, and he put me in this room, and he's equipped me to do this job, even though I don't feel equipped to do it, or I'm fighting imposter syndrome, or I don't want to self-aggrandize. At the end of the day, he's asked me to do this. And there's so many ripples as to why I'm doing this thing. One, it provides for my family. One, it provides for my community. One, it drives the kingdom. Well, like, all of these things are factors into me doing a good job. Or I can bless other people. They're going to pay for an agent either way. They're going to hire a realtor.
Either way.
Or they won't. And hopefully it sells. Yeah. But, like, they're going to hire one either way. Will that money impact the kingdom or not? Will that will that client get service where it's truly for the focus of the client and not for the, the transaction? Yeah. So it's so multifaceted.
That's so good. So, okay, let's get into it now. What attracted you to real estate? You've been doing it for 7 years. Yeah. And that might mean a little backstory, but like, what led you to it? And I would love for you to teach on, you mentioned there was a shift. Maybe you were doing a certain way and then you shifted. But what attracted you to it at first?
Yeah, man. Let's go all the way back. I was 3. No, I'm just kidding. I remember being 18, having zero direction outside of, I'd gone to a semester at CFNI. I'd moved back into my parents' house. They had just moved to a new state, moved from Virginia to Tennessee. And I remember going, I don't know what am I going to be a cop? Am I going to be a teacher? Am I going to, join the Navy? Real estate was something that popped into my head. And I wanted to go to college, didn't feel like I had a route to go to college, and got into waiting tables. And that kind of fed, that's where it started with going, okay, I want to do things really well. I remember waiting tables at a Italian brick oven pizza place where it was like a lunch buffet for $8.99, and
we need
like
the prices back.
Bring it back. And I shout out Lenoir City, Tennessee.
Hey, come on,
a population of like 3,000 people.
Dang.
And I was making $20 a shift, and I remember being like, I've got to be able to make more money. There's got to be a way I can make more money. And I went to the barbecue place up the street, and I started making $80 a shift. And then that place was popping in the summer, and it got really dormant in the winter. And I went to a steakhouse, and I was like making $180 a shift. And I was like, okay, this is great. Then I started going to college and working 3 jobs. I was working at Banana Republic and waiting tables, and very humble beginnings. And I was driving a box truck for a window company and delivering windows.
Man.
All 3 of those jobs and going to community college, doing none of them well. I was failing at all of them. It was awful.
That was me in online college. I tried. I really did. Yeah.
School, I would have done great in college if I had just done college.
Yeah.
But I was trying to have a social life and like to the max and work as many jobs and make career money and go to school well. And it was burning. What's the phrase? Burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah.
Anyways, my family had moved to Dallas, and I ended up moving here. And I started waiting tables at a wine bar in Grapevine, and falling in love with wine. I remember like being like, "Oh, this is it," and I pursued it. I pursued the Court of Sommeliers, which is it's an education board and for wine specialists, service-minded wine specialists. So like.
I can see it. I honestly could see it.
You've been in a steakhouse and they're like, "Do you want wine?" And you're like, "Yeah." And they give you this massive book, and somebody comes over to help you decipher the book.
This would pair well with this.
Yeah, that's the sommelier. So I was pursuing that. There's like 4 levels, and I got all the way up to level 2. I dropped out of college to pursue it fully. I was like, I'm quitting this.
Wow.
I'm going straight to New York. I'm going to run a wine program. And but then I met my wife.
There it is.
I knew I couldn't get married and move to New York. It just wouldn't do well for me. I would have blown up my life. Yeah. And worked so hard to get engaged. I'm all over the place with the story, but I worked so hard to get engaged. And I looked up. I had just bought the ring, proposed. I was getting married in 7 months. And I was looking around, talking about mentorship. I was looking around and going, okay, who's a good husband in my world? And in the restaurant industry, they're there. They're totally there. But I remember being like, the road to being a great husband and staying married for 50 years is a windy, rocky road in the restaurant industry, working nights and weekends, alcohol fueled,
right?
You know, a very transient, like, employee process, you know, like a lot of people getting jobs and leaving and moving to restaurants and whatnot. And I go, okay, I think I'm just going to jump into real estate. And I jumped in. And I waited tables for, 18 months. Real estate is hard to break into. People don't talk about it.
Yes,
it's
it is.
very hard to break into. 80% of realtors don't last longer than 4 months.
Hold up. 4 months?
4 months. 49% of realtors last year sold 1 home on average. 1 home. 49% of realtors. I make this joke. You know more realtors than coffee baristas. And there's a Starbucks on every corner.
Yes, it is.
And especially in Texas, everybody gets their license.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you're moving in from California? I got you.
Yeah, man. But to like get there, you got to just grind. And it took me 18 months I got another restaurant. I quit. I got another restaurant job. And I told my wife, I was like, I've got 3 months to make this happen, or I don't know what I'm going to do.
Wow.
But I got another restaurant job, worked that for 3 months. And at the 28th day of the 3rd month, I closed a deal and I called my manager and I was like, hey, I'm not coming in tonight. Didn't honor that job. I was like, I'm not coming in tonight.
That is hilarious.
And I quit. And the rest is history. I was able to stick it out in real estate.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Man, that is some crazy numbers. 49%.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Okay, so let's go there. You've been doing it for 7 years. clearly things are going well, and obviously, everything can be relative, but it's
Sure,
it's not where it started, right?
Yeah.
What helped you push through that? And, especially those first few years for any business owner, the first year, I always tell people, when you get in business, it's a dogfight just to survive.
Sure. Yeah.
You're just, you're scratching and clawing.
Yeah.
Second year, kind of still the same, but like a little bit better. By the third year, you're like, okay, I kind of find my groove a little bit.
Yeah.
By year 4 and 5, it's like, okay.
Even then, though,
you're
in real estate, you're 60 days out from not having anything. And so it's a constant rotation of, I don't know how realtors without a faith do it. Because I'm like, God, this is in your hands. Like, I don't know what I have 90 days out from now, but I know that you rotate the earth around the sun, and like you cause rain to fall, and you like do all of these things that are so out of my control that allow me to live.
Right.
You're going to provide for my business too.
Yeah.
Or you've got a plan at least.
Yeah.
And it's a crazy industry where not a lot of people survive. And what allowed me to outlast that, though, was like, it was self-serving. I wanted to make a name for myself. If I'm being completely honest, at the start of it, I also wanted to prove something. There was a lot in me that was like, I was 5'2" till my senior year of high school. There was a lot of like middle school Jansen just being like, I'm going to be something. You know what I mean? Like,
by the way, he is not 5'2" right now. He is very tall.
No.
I'm 5'6".
Yeah.
On a good day.
Speaking of the short kings, like,
come on, short kings, let's go.
It was in me, and I just was like, I've got to make this happen. I remember that was always in me. I remember sitting down to asking my wife's dad if I could marry her, and telling him like, this is all the stuff I'm going to do. Like, this is how I'm going to provide for her. And he is amazing, and he just goes, just love her well, please. Like,
wow.
Like, all of that stuff will come. Just love her well. And it was very self-serving at first, and that's kind of the road I met a couple years ago, where you just, whatever junk you're carrying with you at a certain point starts to erode the vessel it's in. So like if like there's a cancer in the vessel, like at a certain point, that cancer starts to pop up and show. And I came to a breaking point a couple years ago, and I had to lay everything down. And by the grace of God, I was just completely honest, laid everything down with incredible counsel, like our pastors, and with my wife. And we're just talking about everything, getting it all out in the open, and still feeling called to what I was doing. I remember talking to Pastor Earl about, like, am I supposed to be working real estate? Am I supposed to be? He was like, yeah, keep working. You're supposed to be doing this. God called you to it. And sticking it out and laying it at the feet of Jesus and going, okay, God, if I'm supposed to do this, if you're calling me to it, you'll make a way. You'll provide. I don't know what it looks like. I'm terrified, but I'm called to it. It's yours. And it's a journey of stewardship. It's like I realized I had a conversation with a mentor. This is why mentors are so pivotal, because they see your blind spots. I had a conversation with a mentor in this season of life, and I was so frustrated about stuff. I go, man, my career, my career is turning out to be not what I thought it was. My business, my marriage, my team members, all of this stuff. And he goes, hey man, real quick, let me challenge you. You keep saying my. Ooh. He goes, like, bro, your blue eyes aren't yours. Like, your brown hair isn't yours. Like, your gift to talk isn't yours. Your gift to see people and love on people is not yours. Your gift to all of those things, to sell, like, none of that is yours. God's put it in your hands to steward it. Now go steward it. Like, and I go, okay, I'm supposed to, and that's hard in business, because that means if I'm supposed to steward my marriage and steward being a dad, for me, that priority is being home at 5. For me, that priority, that manifests itself by like being home on the weekends. And that's hard in business when you see your competition working
on weekends,
80-hour weeks,
yeah,
and putting up crazy numbers. And you're like, man, God, if I'm supposed to do that, you'll put it in my hands. If I'm not, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Because I've chased after the stuff you didn't want to put in my hands, and it crumbled me. And I don't want that anymore, And so it's definitely a journey of learning who you are. That also, side point, like, authenticity became so important and attractive to me. And not being one person in one room and another person in another. It's just like, I'm just going to be me in every room I'm in. all of that becomes so important, and you taste the alternative and you're like, I don't want that anymore. That seems awful to me. And God in his infinite grace and kindness, like, just does it. He wraps you up in it, and he's so kind, man.
It's funny that makes me think of. So I had a moment personally where I battled. I never had battled panic attacks until I started a business.
Yeah,
like never. Yeah. I mean, so I was raised like word of faith.
Yeah,
we didn't believe in panic attacks.
Yeah,
we didn't believe in anxiety.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Just speak the word. What do you mean? Like, come on, like, just declare it. And then you get older and you're like,
and then you have a panic attack and you're like, wait,
hold on, this does not fit my box, and it was really hard. I remember one of the times I was driving and I had to go off the side of the road, call the ambulance. I thought I was dying.
Man,
when that moment happens,
yeah.
And then they come and then they check your vitals. You're like, sir, you're fine. Mm-hmm. I think this is stress. And I was like, no, it can't be. Yeah. And I FaceTime shout out to Pastor Dominic. I FaceTime my pastor when I was back in Michigan, and obviously he's praying for me and all that stuff. And then he says, McQuenda, how's your schedule? And I was like, not great. I mean, I'm doing 16-hour day. You're doing what you have to do.
Yeah.
And to be fair, in the beginning, I do believe there is a push, right? For an airplane to take off, it takes an insane amount of pressure and force to get that thing up the air. Yeah. But I was straining. It was not in grace at all. And also for me, I had to realize my own pace. Mm-hmm. I couldn't work past 7, 8 o'clock every night. Mm-mm. If I, every once in a while.
I don't know anybody that can.
Well. Yeah.
Well, no, my wife does. My wife is a beast, man.
Shout out to moms, man.
Yeah,
they just do everything.
I can't.
No, me. I had to realize I cannot. Mm-mm. I can't do late nighters to 11 midnight every day. Somebody might be able to, praise God. I can't. And so I had a similar conversation with the Lord, and I had wise men around me like, listen, if my window is 8 or 9 till like 7, God's going to have to bless the other hours.
Bro.
Like and I have to trust that he can do more in that time than me and I tell you when actually my business started growing, when I actually started honoring the Sabbath.
Yes.
When I actually took a rest day, because I was always working on Saturdays. That's when I can get editing done. And because I would say Sunday, but like we serving, we doing something, you know what I mean? We working, Yeah. And when I actually started doing that, man, things shifted.
Yeah.
And I think there is something to be said of like, this is the man I desire to be. Yes, this is how everybody else is grinding and growing. I can't compromise this. And God, you're going to just have to bless the difference.
Well, man, like I say this to my team all the time. What God asks us to do isn't always insane. He's not always asking us to like take the hill and do something miraculous. Sometimes he's just asking us to like plant the seed and harvest the crop when it comes. Ooh. Like he makes it rain.
Yes.
He created the soil that the plants go into. He created the seed to do what it does. And we are just like going and doing this and let him do the rest. And I think if somebody that's striving so hard to do so much, at the end of the day, who's doing it?
Yeah.
And if you don't leave any room for God to do a miracle, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you got to leave room for that. And also, I don't know, like, I'm not saying don't show up. I'm saying like show up and work hard. Do the thing then. Like,
when it's in those hours, give it your all.
Give it your all. And there are some seasons when you need to work late, when you need to be by the bedside on the Sunday afternoon because somebody's sick. You need to wake up early because you've got a newborn and you've been up in the middle of the night, but you also have to provide. Like there's a lot of seasons for that. But I would encourage anybody listening to this, create margin for God to do something miraculous. Oof. And like take the pressure off of yourself. If you're striving to do it, you're not giving any room for him to be a God of miracles, which we believe him to be.
Yeah.
I love the idea of me working 40 hours a week and competing with guys working 80. I love the idea of that.
Yeah.
Because it's me going to battle with 300 against however many thousand.
Yep.
And God being like, no, that's my boy.
That's
you
enough.
know what I mean?
Yep.
That's my son. I'm taking care of him.
Yeah.
I'm the one doing it. And at the end of the day, it's not for my glory. Like, it's not for me to be awesome, to close the most homes. Back to the false humility thing, the reason why my feed is documenting everything we're doing is because I need people to see what we're doing.
Yes.
All of my business is referral based.
Absolutely.
I need people to see that we're succeeding and we're doing a good job for our clients, because if we're not, nobody's going to hire us.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like, if I do give my home to you, is it going to just sit there? Yeah.
And work hard. I'm not saying like, nope, it's 5 p.m., I'm clocking out. If I commit to doing something and my word is my word, I'm going to get it done. But like, if you have zero margin in your calendar, you're doing something wrong, man. The word is striving, and he asks us not to do that.
Man,
you know?
That is so. Leave a margin for a miracle. Because
you put it into pastor words.
I know. I literally, I just doctor it up. That's the message title.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think oftentimes we ask for miracles, but never get out the way.
Mm-hmm.
We want God to show up, but we never provide him a path for it. This studio space came out of my rest, out of my Sabbath of like, it did not come when I was working. And even when I was in my Sabbath and I was trying to like make stuff happen, nothing.
Yeah.
And God was like, would you sit down? I actually want this more than you want it.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think we think that. I think we deep down think I want it more than God wants it.
Yeah.
And it's like, no,
that's right. That's good.
This is let me preach for 2 seconds. He's the Alpha and Omega, right? He's beginning and end. He starts at the end, then works backwards. Mm-hmm. So if he started something, it means it's already finished.
Yeah.
But why would we think that God had you start in the real estate? Now, yes, things failed. We learn from lessons. That the same God that had you start, he's not leading you, and so if he's asking you, hey, work 40 hours.
Yeah.
That he wouldn't prepare and have everything necessary for you to do what you need to do.
Yeah.
And I know I have struggled with that. And I have, my dad actually told me this. He was praying. We prayed every day during that time of Sabbath. And he spoke to me. He was like, Makwenda, in the world, we rest because we're tired. In the kingdom, we rest because we trust.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different
creating
rest.
margin.
It's creating margin. It's like, could I? Sure. But I am leaving this space for him to come in.
You see it like a practical example is Chick-fil-A, dude.
Yeah.
The most thriving fast food company ever. Excellent service, phenomenal food, the fastest lines, the most full lines, and they're closed on Sunday.
Yes.
It's like
they literally they are closed. I think it ends up being 50 days less that they work than their competition. They do like almost $10 billion a year.
I want to talk about something really quick, because you had mentioned how things go wrong or things fail, or it doesn't turn out how you hoped it would turn out.
Yeah.
But God has a plan, and he's moving you to his season of completion, if you will. I think the biggest impediment to that a lot of times is, one, not creating margin and trusting God.
Yeah.
And then two, not just not doing what he asked you to do.
In the first place.
Bro, my one of the mentors in my life, we went through a season earlier this year. Quick real estate story.
Yeah, come on.
We put my sister's house on the market. Cute house. They took such good care of it. It was the nicest house in the neighborhood. And they needed to net a certain number. Mm-hmm. And the market did not bear it.
Yeah.
So in real estate, houses sell for what the market depicts unless it's a really great product.
Yeah.
And you list a house at what the market. My job as a realtor is to interpret those numbers for you and put the house on the market so that I can guarantee a sale for you. And it's a smooth process and negotiate on your behalf. That's part of my job. And I told my sister and her husband, I said, hey, look, this is what the market dictates. And they were like, okay. But God asked me to do a great job. He asked me to bring it to market. He asked me to knock it out of the park. And he asked my sister and her husband to move and sell it. And they were agreeing to it and doing it, even though the numbers didn't make sense. The deficit was about $50,000.
Wow.
We put their house on the market in a down market. Interest rates are 8%. We got like 15 offers on it. It sold for 50 grand over asking.
Woo!
They got so many perks in the contract. It was like seamless.
Wow.
And I remember talking to my one of my mentors about it, and he goes, "Man, when you're just obedient, God makes you look so good." And if you just take the pressure off, if it's not supposed to turn out that way, it's not going to.
Right.
Take the pressure off. Like if the house isn't going to sell, it's not because my wife has to remind me this. It's not because you're terrible at your job. It's because sometimes it's not supposed to turn out that way.
Wow.
It's supposed to turn out a different way. And you just have to keep showing up, keep serving, keep loving, keep being a calm voice in the process. I had to learn that, man. Real estate can make you so volatile emotionally.
Oh, yeah.
And like negotiations, I always coined it like this means war negotiator. Like you get into a transaction and they are fighting for every penny, which is great. Negotiate. But the best negotiators in the world say negotiating is a win for all. Like you negotiate for all parties to win.
Yeah.
And I never liked it. I never liked negotiating like that. I like to get into transactions and like, let's all amicably find a solution for this transaction and not give up the house, not give up the money, but like create an amicable solution for all parties to thrive. And if it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. God makes a way.
Yeah.
You know?
That's so good, man. There's so much gold on this, man. I think the one thing that stands out of what you're saying of when you just do what he asks you to do, he makes you look good. It made me think of, Joshua. He gets the marching orders. Walk around 6 times. On the 7th time, shout. I'm sure when he gave those marching orders, he probably looked like a fool, but then he looked like a genius when it worked. Yeah. And it's like, I think there are certain stresses that are self-inflicted.
Yes.
And it's honestly probably because, like, I've had to learn this. Like, if I could start my video business all over again, it would be simplify and niche and focus on one thing. A lot of times in the service business, you try to do like everything. Yeah. I can do this. You want a plumber? I can be a plumber. If you want this, I can. If you're a roofing, like, we do construction too. It's like we never really settle and get good at. And I know there's certain strategies for different things because of seasons, whatever.
Sure, yeah.
But like, we never really get good at one thing. And what I found was I had to eliminate a lot of services because I was doing digital marketing and video and social media management and consulting. And what I found was like I had to look, okay, what's the actual drivers of the business? What's bringing the best profit margin? And then, and what's fulfilling me and all this different stuff. And everything else just like strip away. And as soon as I stripped that away, the more stress I stripped away, the more like clients were happier and like all this different stuff, all because I'm over here trying to prove something to your point of like, I can do this, I can do this. And it's like, it's not doing me any good. But if I actually just obeyed, and so now it's like, okay, you told me to do it. All right. Yeah. I got to trust. I might look like a fool now. Everybody thought Noah was a fool until that rain came.
There is a season early on though, where I would say like you and your production business, you didn't know what would work. No. So there's a season of, one, I just need to eat, so I'm going to do any deal that comes across my table and figure out the ones that are really cool that I enjoy. Like at the beginning of my business, it was like, I'm going to be the new construction guy. I'm going to do leases. Yeah. I'm going to be the condo king. I'm going to like, I'm going to do luxury real estate. I'm going to do apartments. I'm going to like everything. And I would just do anything that came across my plate. Yeah. And I like, still there's a facet of that. I'm still just going to serve whatever deal comes my way. If I don't think it's going to be a win, I'll refer it out.
I do the same.
Yeah. But, and also too, you kind of get a little bit of wisdom and you see certain deals pop up and you're like, that's not actually a deal. Yeah. It's going to be a waste of time. Yeah. Nope. That person doesn't actually have any money.
Oh my gosh. They talking about it, but they ain't about it. No, I love that. And I think what I love what you're saying, I think, in the beginning, you test everything, and then once you find it, you
double down.
You double down, you lock in. Okay, so in these last remaining moments that we have, we've been flowing. This has been so good.
I love it. I could keep going.
You've hit so much stuff. Okay, we're probably going to get a lot of realtors or people who are interested in real estate. Sure. Like I said, like everybody wants to be in real estate a lot of times, right? What tell me the do's and don'ts, like
Sure.
practical, flat out that you see of like, man, what leads to 49% only selling one home is this. What leads to, you know, you said how many percentage only make it for 90%, 80% only making lasting 4 months. What makes a great realtor versus not a great realtor? What makes a realtor actually make money and stay in the business?
Man, I remember when I learned the stat, I was about a year and a half in, and it was like, 80% of agents don't last longer than 4 months. I've outlasted a lot of my competition. That's great. There's an OG in Dallas real estate. His name's Douglas Newby, and he went to the coffee shop I went to before I got into real estate. And I remember getting my license and realizing who he was and just striking up conversation with him and being like, hey man, I just got my license. What do I do? And I remember him saying, serve the people around you. Some of them will become millionaires and you'll do their $1 million transactions, but just serve the group in the sphere that you know, and it will turn into a number of deals. And that is so true. And I find too many people, there's a level of going, I want to do this type of transaction and I'm going to figure that out. Like I'm gonna be the condo guy, or I'm going to do the penthouses, or I'm going to do the land and lake, or I'm gonna do this neighborhood. And there's a total level of just figuring it out. I'm gonna work this until it makes sense.
Right.
And the person who lasts the longest gets it.
Wins.
Yeah. But there's also a level of, if you don't know any millionaires, you're not doing $1 million homes. If you don't know anybody that wants to buy ranches, you're not doing any ranch deals. So you got to surround yourself with those people. We pivoted when I moved my team to the brokerage we're at now. It was 2 years ago. Last week was my 2-year anniversary.
Okay.
And it was in that season of kind of reframing my mind, kind of going, okay, God's called me to this business. I'm going to do it his way. And we hired a branding team. Shout out Optimist, Ty and Tatiana. They're awesome. They branded our team, and I remember them asking, "What if somebody asked you, what's your niche? What do you guys do differently? What do you guys focus on?" I said, "We're relationally driven. Like I want Maquinda. I want to serve you for life. I want to serve your children when you have them. I want to serve your family. I want to serve your best friends. Like I want to be so in your relationship with you that like I'm just your guy." And at the end of the day, after 2 years of figuring this out, the thing I always come back to is I just have to provide more value. I have to be the value guy. I have to provide value. And it's constantly finding the avenue to provide value in that space and serving them. So the realtors, practically, the people getting their license who are jumping in and they go, man, I want to be a real estate agent. One, it's going to be really hard to cut your teeth on buyers that you meet at cocktail parties, that you just get lucky and you work them because of the new NAR deal, the new settlement that happened. I don't know if you're aware of it. But the way buyers agents get paid is much more difficult than what it used to be. I won't descend into the particulars of it, but it used to be, I talked about how 49% of realtors did one deal last year.
Yeah.
That deal, I guarantee, was a buyer. And I guarantee it was somebody they brushed shoulders with and they said, I was a realtor, and you were just the closest person in proximity to them.
Right.
And you got that deal and you just kind of stumbled through it.
Yeah.
That's how I learned. I just...
Yeah, you start where you start, yeah.
Yeah. And that's going to be harder and harder. So I would say if you're really dedicated to it, find a way to make money, wait tables is the best way. You work nights, you got your days free, and you can, you work 30 hours a week and you make normal money waiting tables, and then you're able to jump into real estate in the rest of your day. Join a team, learn from an experienced agent, cut your teeth on the business through somebody else's deals. Learn it, network, create a sphere, find a way to provide value, and find mentorship. Like, don't reinvent the wheel. For so many years, I wanted to be a prodigy and a savant in this business. I was like, I'm going to reinvent it. I'm going to be the young gun that just like blows up, 30 under 30 type guy. And it just wasn't my story.
Yeah.
And I realized as soon as that clicked, I was like 18 months into the business. I go, I need mentorship. And I hired a coach. And I've had coaching since then. I spend a lot of money a month on coaching, where somebody is in the weeds of my business. They are beating me up every single week. They're looking at my personal budget. They're looking at like where my leads are coming from, what my marketing looks like, all of that stuff. They're asking me when my last date night with my wife was. Like they want me to build wealth and create balance. Like, so I pay money for that level of accountability.
Yeah.
I do it in every aspect of it. I do it in my marriage. I've got somebody who's in the weeds of me and my like history and me and my marriage and being a dad and being a friend. You got to find that mentorship. Pay for it. Don't try and make money quick. Make money the right way. And it's okay for life to be long. Let life be long. Like, that's a lesson I'm learning this year is make space for something to grow and compound slowly, because you'll have such a solid base by the time it starts to really cook, because you've spent so much time doing it and fine-tuned it. You don't have to make money quick.
That's
you know what I mean?
Good. Yeah. No, dude, that was a whole masterclass of real estate right there. No, I think, and I mean, I think in so many ways people can understand the opposite of what people do, of like doing it fast. I heard
faking it till you make it.
Yeah, fake it till you make it. All that different stuff. Even the one you hit on, which I think is really important. I think as entrepreneurs, we're all creative, or creative to an extent, right? We man, I have an ideas folder in my notes right now. That's filled with different companies' ideas. Yeah. And when things get hard, I'm constantly creating stuff because I want to pivot and I'm like, I want to change whatever. And we can have this thing like we see the Steve Jobs of the world, we see the, these different folks, the Zuckerbergs, the Elon Musk, and we're like, I want to innovate, and like we're doing stuff that no one's doing. It's like if no one's doing it, it's probably a reason. Bro. and I learned this from a mentor of mine: imitate before you innovate. Yeah. And follow a path that is working, and just run it to the ground. Like even with podcasting, like I could sit here and like, I think we're changing the game with our message. Sure. I think we're changing the game with our direction. Yeah. But the method, it's tried and proven.
Podcasting is podcasting.
Every week you got to show up. You got to do your clips. You got to do your multi episodes on YouTube. You got to do your thumbnails. Your titles matter, right? Yes. I can run you through all that different stuff. I can be as creative as I want, and we can film in a jet. I don't know, whatever. At the end of the day, there are people who've gone before, and there's a reason why they still do something the same way. And it's like, imitate and then find ways to innovate once you're in there. But like, pay homage to the fact that like you don't know what you're doing. Yes. And so the fact that you say, I'm going to pay someone to tell me what to do, how to do it. I do think that is lacking. I do think it's lacking in our age demographic, because we've seen the stories of the Facebooks, we've seen the stories of all this different stuff. So we just assume everybody's got to do that. And it's like, no, you could just be crushing it following a proven model.
It goes back to, did God ask you to do it? Yeah. Just do that thing. And I promise you'll end up in a better place than if you try and just invent something great for yourself. Just follow the path that he's guiding you through. Yeah. And I'm a blue collar worker. I do sales and I do entrepreneurship, but I just implement the tactics that the guy 2 generations older than me has done before me. Yeah. I'm not going to inherit anything, and I'm not going to invent anything or innovate in a crazy way until God calls me to do it. Yeah. And hopefully I'm obedient. Hopefully I respond the right way. Yeah. But it doesn't need, you don't have to be a savant. Just do something really well. Also, strive for authenticity. If you're not you, it's going to catch you at some point.
Absolutely.
And I'm doing a podcast as a realtor, and I'm going to shout out to another realtor. There's a realtor in Dallas. His name's Ben Wegman. He's phenomenal. He early on came into the game and was what realtors do on social media now. He was one of the first to do it. And he carved such a lane that now his business is exploding, and he's top 0.01% of realtors in the country because he innovated. I could not be Ben Wegman. I just couldn't. Yeah. I couldn't create what he created. I'm not wired to do it. Yeah. But I could be Jansen as well as I could possibly be.
You can be the best Jansen.
And that business that provides is going to be enough. Wow. And like, until God calls me to the next thing. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. No, I think maybe part of it's contentment, but I think part of it is just like, hey, even with podcasting, like there's a lot of different voices out there. There's a lot of folks that are different personalities. Yeah. Typically, if you got a little screw loose, you're better on a podcast and you're a little wild. I'm not that.
Yeah,
I'm just a go-lucky kind of guy. I love people. Like, I settled on, like, if you're gonna bless me, you're gonna bless who I am.
Yes.
And the Holy Spirit told me before I started this, he's like, McQuinn, I didn't make a mistake when I picked you. So
no, he didn't, man.
I
love that.
He's gonna flow through you the way he made you. Okay, so to kind of tie a bow to this, for realtors to be like, okay, it seems like 2 years ago a shift happened. Mm-hmm. What has that resulted? And again, feel free to talk about whatever numbers you want, but like even growth wise, of like you were here and then like.
No false humility here, man. We're crushing it.
Come on, dog. Talk that talk.
So like, so we're in a down market.
Yep.
I got my real estate license 2 years later. COVID happens. I cut my teeth on a real market. Then COVID happens, and it was just fake money. I could meet you on a Tuesday, and by Saturday you're in a contract, and you're closing the next week.
Yeah.
And my business exploded in that. In the midst of that, I met builders and started doing some luxury stuff, and my business exploded. And then the market halted. I dealt with personal stuff. I took a big step back, and I go, okay, God, I'm gonna do this your way. And I've watched him bless it in a way that I couldn't have done it. It's not like, truly, it's not me. And I've seen us do, man, it's crazy. In August of 2022, I switched companies. I had done 32 million in sales up until that month. The rest of the year, I did 2 million in sales.
My God.
I lived off savings. We sold our house. We moved. By the grace of God, we bought a new one. And I burned my business to the ground, and I laid it at the feet of Jesus, and I go, God, if I'm supposed to do this, I'm going to do it your way. And we've talked about this. And I watched him just bless that. It was all about the client rather than me doing something awesome. Yeah. And 100% of our business comes from referrals. 100% of our business is word of mouth. We were averaging 3.5 deals a month. We're doing like twice that much on average.
Man.
And it's not because it's like I've done anything awesome.
Yeah.
I'm just doing what God has put in my hands as best as I possibly can.
It's amazing.
And keeping the main thing the main thing.
Come on.
You know?
That is beautiful, man. And listen, we're not clouding us. It's the Lord. Yeah, you've already given it to him.
Oh, and dude, it's not my business.
No.
It's not my business.
No.
You know?
And his way works.
Yeah.
And that's what, to end on this, that's what I'm trying to prove with this podcast. It's not just like, hey, you should do business God's way because that's the right thing to do.
Sure.
You should do business God's way because it actually produces.
Right.
Like it actually works.
That's a real thing.
When you lay it down.
Yeah.
It might not look like it in certain seasons, but like over time, it does. And I love that, man. Thank you, bro. Thank you for being on. This has been so fun. If you are wanting to get into real estate, I honestly feel like you got a really good masterclass of like some good do's and don'ts, some good principles.
Thank you,
man. How can people like take a next step and follow you of what you're doing if they need a home sold or whatever?
We are about to launch our website, jansenklefeker.com.
Come on.
You can check us out there. And then my Instagram's probably the only place where I really keep people updated on stuff.
Yeah.
It gets onto Facebook because I post there. But Instagram and Threads is really it. At Jansen Klefeker.
Okay. We'll put it all below. But thank you so much for being here, bro. Man. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of the Faith Hustle Podcast. We hope you were encouraged, inspired, and feel equipped to walk out your faith hustle. If you want to come on this journey with us in growing in our business and faith, I encourage you to subscribe to the podcast, whether it be on audio platforms like Apple or Spotify or YouTube. We would love to take this journey with you, and we can't wait to see what God does in your business. We look forward to seeing you soon.